Welcome to our midweek meeting for this week, September 15th to 21st, 2025. Let us begin with a consideration of treasures from God's Word.
The book of Proverbs gives us a unique glimpse into the wisdom passed down from a mother to her son, King Lemuel. These words are not just personal advice for an ancient king, but are timeless lessons for parents who want to guide their children in harmony with Jehovah's thinking. They show us how to teach our children to view sex, marriage, alcohol, and compassion for others in a balanced, scriptural way. Let us consider three vital lessons drawn from Proverbs chapter 31. First, parents need to help their children understand Jehovah's view of sex and marriage. Proverbs 31 verse 3 says, "Do not give your vigor to women, nor follow ways that destroy kings." This verse warns against misusing one's strength and energy in immoral relationships. A young person who gives in to improper sexual desires can lose focus, dignity, and even their future. The warning is real, but notice also what verse 10 adds: "Who can find a capable wife?" Her value is far more than that of corals. Here the Bible shows that when sex and marriage are approached in Jehovah's way, the result is priceless. A capable, faithful partner is of immense worth. This balance is crucial for parents to communicate. The Bible does not present sex as something shameful. On the contrary, scriptures such as Proverbs 5:18 and 19 describe intimacy within marriage as a joyful gift from God. Similarly, Song of Solomon 1:2 celebrates marital affection. Yet, many parents focus only on warnings. While it is true that scriptures such as 1 Corinthians 6:18 flee from sexual immorality, and James 1:14 and 15, which shows how wrong desires lead to sin, must be taught, there is a danger in overemphasizing the negative side. Some young ones, like the young woman from France named Corina, say that when parents only stress immorality, it leaves them with a distorted view, making them feel that sex itself is bad. On the other hand, a mother in Mexico named Nadia explained how she told her teens that sex is beautiful and natural, but that it has its proper place in marriage. She reminded them that this gift can bring joy or pain depending on how it is used. Parents who teach in this way give their children the whole truth. They help them see Jehovah's standards not as restrictions, but as loving protection that leads to happiness. Second, parents need to teach their children Jehovah's view of alcohol. Proverbs 31:4-6 says, "It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for rulers to say, 'Where is my drink?' so that they do not drink and forget what is decreed, and pervert the rights of the lowly ones. Give alcohol to those who are perishing, and wine to those in bitter distress." These verses show us that alcohol has its place, but it can be dangerous if misused. A leader who drinks excessively can forget justice, abuse his authority, and hurt those under his care. Parents can take the initiative in discussing alcohol with their children. As one father in Britain did, we can ask our children what they think about drinking. Creating an open and relaxed environment encourages them to speak freely. These conversations should happen more than once and at different stages of life. Just as we also talk about other important topics like safety and relationships. But beyond words, children watch closely how parents live. If they see a parent constantly reaching for alcohol to deal with stress, they learn that alcohol is the solution to life's problems. Instead, parents should model responsible use. Children absorb more from our example than from our lectures. Finally, parents need to instill in their children a spirit of compassion and justice, teaching them to help others as Jehovah does. Proverbs 31:8-9 says, "Speak up in behalf of the speechless, defend the rights of all who are perishing. Speak up and judge righteously. Defend the rights of the lowly, and the poor. Jehovah's people are known for caring for those who cannot defend themselves." Teaching children this principle requires action, not just words. Parents can involve their children in helping others. As Acts 20:35 reminds us, there is more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. And Luke 6:38 assures us that when we give, blessings return to us. And when we live by these instructions ourselves, we show our children that Jehovah's ways are always best, today and in the days to come. Welcome, brothers, to Spiritual Gems for this week, September 15th to 21st, 2025. We begin with the first question: what are alphabetic acrostics, and how are they used in the Hebrew Scriptures? Acrostics are a literary tool used in the Hebrew Scriptures to aid memorization, which was a key method of religious instruction in ancient Israel. They involve poetic structures where consecutive verses begin with successive letters of the Hebrew alphabet, as seen in Proverbs 31:10-31. This helped both young and old retain divine principles, since spiritual instruction was meant to be deeply internalized and constantly meditated upon. Alongside acrostics, other memory aids included alliteration and the symbolic use of numbers. Next question: what spiritual gems from this week's Bible reading would you like to share? Proverbs 31 verse 3. Do not give your vigor to women, nor follow ways that destroy kings. This warning from Lemuel's mother highlights the danger of wasting strength in pursuits that weaken judgment. For Christians today, it emphasizes the need to protect our spiritual energy and maintain moral integrity. By exercising self-control in relationships, we safeguard our service to Jehovah and remain strong examples in the congregation. Proverbs 31:4-5. It is not for kings to drink wine, so that they do not forget what is decreed and pervert the rights of the lowly ones. Leaders are urged to avoid habits that cloud judgment. Spiritually, this applies to elders and ministerial servants who must keep their thinking clear to act justly and compassionately. Anything that diminishes spiritual discernment could harm vulnerable ones. True Christian leadership requires sobriety, balance, and fairness at all times. Proverbs 31:6-7. Give alcohol to those who are perishing, wine to those in bitter distress. Although describing literal relief, the deeper principle is compassion toward those suffering. Today, Jehovah's people can apply this by offering comfort and spiritual refreshment to those who feel overwhelmed. By sharing the good news of God's promises and the hope of the resurrection, we provide lasting relief greater than any temporary comfort. Proverbs 31:8-9. Speak up in behalf of the speechless. Defend the rights of the lowly and the poor. This timeless counsel calls Christians to defend those who cannot defend themselves. Whether in the congregation, family, or community, Jehovah's servants reflect His justice by protecting the vulnerable and treating others with fairness. In ministry, we become a voice for those who long for truth and righteousness, showing courage and integrity. Proverbs 31:10-12. Who can find a capable wife? Her value is far more than that of corals. She rewards him with good all the days of her life. This tribute honors the faithful wife, valued for her loyalty, trustworthiness, and kindness. The lesson extends to all Christians. Cultivate relationships built on trust, respect, and godly devotion. Such qualities strengthen marriages, build up families, and set a fine example within the congregation, far surpassing material wealth or outward beauty. Proverbs 31:13-15. She obtains wool and linen. She rises while it is still night, providing food for her household. Here we see diligence, foresight, and a loving spirit of service. The capable woman does not act out of vanity, but out of care for her household. Christians today can apply this by balancing spiritual and family responsibilities with energy and planning. Such effort reflects not laziness, but a godly sense of duty and love for others. Proverbs 31:16-18. She sets her mind on a field and buys it. She plants a vineyard. Her lamp does not go out at night. This picture illustrates vision, industriousness, and perseverance. Christians can apply it by using their talents and resources wisely, always with the goal of honoring Jehovah and supporting their families and the congregation. Her lamp that does not go out reminds us to keep our zeal and endurance burning, even when others give in to fatigue. Proverbs 31:20-22. She extends her palm to the lowly. Her whole household is clothed in warm garments. These verses show balance between generosity toward others and care for one's own family. The virtuous woman is both compassionate and prudent. Today, this encourages us to extend help to those in need, materially or spiritually, while ensuring that our families are spiritually clothed with strong faith and trust in Jehovah's provision. Proverbs 31:25-27. She is clothed with strength and splendor, and she looks to the future with confidence. She does not eat the bread of laziness. This portrays spiritual dignity, wisdom, and steady leadership. Christians today should cultivate inner strength rooted in faith, speak with kindness, guided by Bible principles, and avoid idleness in their responsibilities. By watching over our households and congregation duties, we reflect the vigilance and faithfulness that Jehovah values. Proverbs 31:28-31. Her children rise up and declare her happy. Her husband praises her. The woman who fears Jehovah will be praised. The conclusion of this chapter emphasizes that true honor comes not from charm or beauty, but from fearing Jehovah. For us, this lesson highlights the eternal value of a life of devotion and good works. Recognition from Jehovah and His people is far more meaningful than any human praise, as it reflects faithfulness that endures forever. Congregation Bible Study, September 15th to 21st, 2025. Analysis with question and answer. Let's start by answering the questions from the paragraphs. Let's begin by analyzing Lesson 18, The Burning Bush. We now answer the following questions. What did Moses see while he was taking care of his sheep? While Moses was taking care of his sheep near Mount Sinai, he saw something truly amazing. A thorn bush was on fire, but it was not burning up. This unusual sight caught his attention and led him to go closer to understand what was happening. It was through this miraculous sign that Jehovah, by means of an angel, began speaking to Moses and gave him a life-changing assignment. Let's move on to the next question. What did Jehovah want Moses to do? Jehovah wanted Moses to return to Egypt and lead the Israelites out of slavery. He told Moses that he had seen the suffering of his people and was going to rescue them and bring them to a good land. Moses was the one chosen to carry out this important mission. Even though Moses felt unsure and asked what he should say or do if the people didn't believe him, Jehovah reassured him with powerful signs and the promise of help, including support from his brother Aaron. With Jehovah's backing, Moses was to act as his representative to deliver the Israelites. Let's move on to the next question. What does this teach us about Jehovah? This account teaches us that Jehovah is a caring and attentive God who sees the suffering of His people and takes action to help them. He is not distant or indifferent. He listens, feels compassion, and moves powerfully in behalf of those who are loyal to Him. It also shows that Jehovah is holy and deserves deep respect, as seen when He told Moses to take off his sandals on holy ground. Additionally, Jehovah is patient and understanding. When Moses felt inadequate, Jehovah gave him reassurance, signs of support, and even arranged for Aaron to help him. All of this shows that Jehovah equips those He chooses and never leaves them alone in their assignments. Next question. What practical lessons can we learn? This account offers several practical lessons that can strengthen our faith and guide our service to Jehovah. First, we learn that Jehovah is aware of our trials and will act at the right time to help us, just as He saw the suffering of the Israelites and stepped in to rescue them. This reassures us that Jehovah cares deeply about each one of us and never ignores our pain. Second, When Jehovah gives us an assignment, He also gives us the support we need to carry it out, whether through His Spirit, practical guidance, or the help of fellow believers, just as He provided Aaron to assist Moses. Third, Moses' humble reaction teaches us to show deep respect for Jehovah's presence and direction, treating spiritual matters as sacred. Lastly, we are reminded that we don't have to rely on our own abilities. Jehovah can use anyone who is willing, even if they feel unqualified, and He will give them the words and courage needed, just as He promised Moses. Now we move on to the analysis of Lesson 19, the first 3 plagues. First question: what were the first 3 plagues? The first 3 plagues that Jehovah brought on Egypt were, first, the water of the Nile River was turned into blood, making it stink, killing the fish, and leaving no clean water to drink. Second, a massive infestation of frogs spread throughout the land, invading homes, beds, and even food bowls, causing great discomfort. Third, Jehovah turned the dust of the ground into gnats, small biting flies, which covered the land and irritated the people. These plagues were a powerful demonstration of Jehovah's strength and a warning to Pharaoh to obey his command to let his people go. Next question: why did Jehovah cause these plagues? Jehovah caused these plagues to teach Pharaoh a clear and powerful lesson, that he is the true God and that his name and authority must be respected. Despite repeated warnings through Moses and Aaron, Pharaoh responded with pride and refused to let the Israelites go, even increasing their suffering. Jehovah used the plagues to show that He sees oppression, He defends His people, and no human ruler can stand against His will. As stated in Jeremiah 16:21, Jehovah wanted the Egyptians, and everyone, to know His power and His name. Let's move on to the next question. What does this teach us about Jehovah? This account teaches us that Jehovah is a powerful and patient God who acts at the right time to defend His people. Even though Pharaoh was stubborn and cruel, Jehovah did not ignore the suffering of the Israelites. He took action to confront injustice and prove that His name and will must be respected. It also shows that Jehovah gives people opportunities to change, as He sent multiple warnings before each plague. Yet, when those warnings are ignored, He has both the authority and the means to carry out justice. Above all, it reminds us that Jehovah's power is unmatched, and His purpose will always succeed. Next question: what practical lessons can we learn? This account offers several practical lessons that are useful for our daily life and worship. First, we learn that Jehovah will always stand up for His people. Even when powerful forces oppose them, He sees their suffering and acts at the right time. This gives us confidence to remain faithful and patient during trials. Second, we see the danger of pride and stubbornness like Pharaoh's. Resisting Jehovah's direction brings serious consequences, so we should always keep a humble, obedient heart. Third, Jehovah gave Pharaoh repeated chances to listen before each plague, showing that He is merciful and fair. We too should be patient and reasonable when dealing with others. Finally, these events remind us that Jehovah's name and power are not to be taken lightly. Our words, actions, and worship should always show deep respect for Him and trust in His authority.